Hello and welcome to another video series here. Today I've got a one and done series with a deck that's one of my favorite decks in Modern actually, which is Jeskai Saheeli. We'll go ahead and talk about that. Before we jump into that, I want to let you guys know, I know it's been about a week since I've made some content. For those of you that don't know, I'm a second-year master student and school has started up again. I've started teaching again, and so there's a lot of things going on in my life, and I'm trying my best to make time to make Magic content, but not to say that I don't have free time. Obviously, most people have some time of free time in their lives. It's not to say that I don't have free time, but when I do end up having free time, I end up trying to like de-stress and relax, and Magic doesn't always do that for me. So while I really do like making Magic content, and I'm definitely going to be making more Magic content, you know, for as long as I possibly can, just know that there might be times where I might only come out with a video or two a week, or maybe I only stream once per week or something like that. So I know that that's probably not, you know, regular to most Magic content creators, but I would say that I'm not, you know, your average Magic content creator. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I'd love to commit to, you know, playing Magic online and making content for you guys, but with that said, I will try to find as much time as I possibly can to make that content, put it out there for you in a reasonable way, make sure it's quality content. You know, just because it's not a lot of content doesn't mean it can't be quality content, so I'm going to do my best to bring you at least 1 to 2 videos on my YouTube channel per week, and maybe one to 2 streams per week as well. Because I know there's some of you that have subscribed on Twitch already. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea how much I honestly appreciate that. You putting in your own money to help support me is just amazing, and far more than anything I ever expected when I started streaming on Twitch. So for all of you guys, I do appreciate that support, and I will try to make you feel like you're getting your money's worth by streaming as much as I can. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video, which is Jeskai Saheeli. Now, for those of you that don't know my past, Jeskai Saheeli was a deck that I, you know, made content with a lot. You can go back to see my past videos. You'll definitely find, you know, maybe 30-35 matches of this deck on my channel. It's a deck that I top 32'd a Star City Games Open with an 11-4 record, and it's a deck that is awesome in my opinion. I think it's the closest thing we'll ever get to Splinter Twin in Modern, obviously as long as Splinter Twin remains on the ban list. And it's just a deck that attacks on an angle that most decks aren't used to in Modern anymore. You know, this combo control aspect was something that was around for a very long time in Modern with Splinter Twin, but it kind of, obviously after the ban, there was no archetype to fill that role again. And now we have what's the best, in my opinion, turn 4 control shell combo deck. Now you'll obviously have Through the Breach decks, which play with a very similar aspect. You can be blue-red or Jeskai or whatever, and you can still play the Through the Breach Emrakul plan, but that's a turn 5 kill. Similarly, you have Restoration Angel plus Kiki-Jiki. Also, that's a turn 5 kill in a control shell. Obviously, when you start putting Mana Dorks in there, things get faster. But obviously, those are not what we would classify as control shells. So this blue control combo deck that you know we once had in Modern has gone away, but now we have Jeskai Saheeli. And when I say now, obviously this strategy has been around for, I don't know, what, like a year and a half at this point, and I think it's been under the radar for far too long. So for those of you that don't know, obviously I had a couple finish with it. It had a couple GP top 32 finishes with it, with this archetype. And Janh H, who is known as Jan Huang in, you know, real life, or Janice AB on Twitch, by the way, check him out. He has been tearing it up in the Magic Online tournament scene with Jeskai Saheeli. He's got about 12 trophies right now for this season, not just overall ever, but just this, you know, I think it's what, like 2 or 3 month period on the, you know, MTGO competitive league leaderboards. He's got 12 trophies. He's about 8th or 9th place in the trophy race, and I think that's insane for a deck that's nobody's even talking about. Sure, he plays a lot, but he also knows his deck really well. And this is his build of it. So it's very similar to my previous build, but it does have a few of his own touches. You might notice that my builds played, you know, 4 Bolt before playing the Helixes, or play 2 Wall of Omens and not the 3rd. It did not play Baneslayer Angel in the main, you know. So there's a lot of things going on here that are quite different from what I did. But, you know, I've spoken to Jan. I'm a subscriber on his stream, and we've discussed the deck quite a bit, and so he took a few ideas from my deck list, but he's definitely innovated things on his own front, especially when it comes to the sideboard. He has crafted the sideboard to be as best as he thinks it can possibly be. Let's go ahead and cover the deck real quick. It's basically 4 Serum Visions, the best, cantrip for a tap out deck like this. And this is mostly a tap out deck. You may have times where you hold up your mana for remans or Snapcaster Mages, but generally you're tapping out your mana a fair bit of time. You're not playing like a Splinter Twin tempo game as much because your combo pieces aren't instants, right? Saheeli and Feldar, they're both sorcery speed cards. Then you have, of course, Jeskai removal in the form of Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix. Obviously, just some of the best, cheapest red removal around. You have 4 Spreading Seas for the interaction with Feldar Guardian, 4 Snapcaster Mage because it's just one of the best control blue cards in Modern. Lets you flash back all your fantastic spells like Remand, like Bolt, like Path. Then you have 3 Wall of Omens, a great early game cantrip that works both with Saheeli and Feldar. And then of course you have Saheeli, Feldar themselves. They're the combo pieces of the deck. They go infinite with each other to make hasty 1/4 cats. And then you have these 2 kind of flex spots at the end here, which is Pia and Kiran Alar and Baneslayer Angel. Pia and Kiran Alar is just a great kind of mid-range threat that gums up the board and works with both of your combo pieces in terms of generating more value. And then Baneslayer Angel is an awesome card in the sense that it shuts down a lot of the creature decks that are going on. Now, when I played this deck, I actually had Teferi in this slot, and Janh played Teferi for quite a bit here as well, but I think he's been moving towards Baneslayer Angel as kind of this like main deck hedge against the aggressive meta, because against the controlling meta, we're already pretty okay, and Teferi doesn't necessarily swing the matchup all that much, but Baneslayer Angel, let's say you slam it against the aggro matchups, which we tend to have trouble with sometimes, is just insane. And the fact that you can Saheeli downtick on Baneslayer Angel to make a 5/5 flying, first strike, lifelink, haste creature is actually insane, and it can end up swinging certain aggro matchups. So definitely something to consider here, especially because you might look like, why aren't we playing Lyra when we have Geist in the sideboard? Well, Janh kind of made the decision that, well, while Lyra works with Geist well, she doesn't work with Saheeli as well because she's a legendary creature. So that's kind of the reasoning that you see there. And so in terms of the sideboard, it's pretty standard, but 2 Rest in Peace, one of the best cards to be in white for right now. 2 Ruin Halo, this card is great against humans, Hollow One, and a whole bunch of different combo decks. You have Timely Reinforcements, great against different aggressive strategies, helps you protect Saheeli Rai. You have 2 Dispel, protects the combo, beats combo decks, helps against Burn. Vendilion Click, great in the interactive matchups, like Control, also great against combo and Tron. Grim Lavamancer helps you deal with little creature decks. Is It Staticaster also helps you deal with kind of little creature decks that end up going wide with X1 toughness. And then you have 2 Geist Saint Trapped, helps the control matchup, which is arguably one of the worst for this deck. And then Engineer Explosives, just, as a catch-all kind of removal spell for a whole bunch of different permanents. If you know me, you know that I love sticking at least 1 Engineer Explosives in almost every single one of my sideboards, so I'm a huge fan of that card. But that's going to be a quick rundown of the deck. I didn't want to give too much of a huge deck tech on it. I definitely recommend that if you want to see more of this deck, either check out my previous videos with my own version of the deck, or go ahead and check out Janh's Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/JanhisAB. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Go ahead and check that out. Give him a follow. He streams, a couple times, 3 times a week, depending on his schedule, and he's a great, fun guy. He loves this deck. He's really good with his deck. Probably way better than me at piloting it. So I definitely recommend you guys check that out if you're interested in not only seeing, how the deck plays out in more matches. He tends to play multiple leagues per stream, but he can also give you his own insight on some of his card choices. Sometimes I can't give you the exact reasoning for why he did what he did. I can give you a reasoning for why I built my deck the way I built my deck, but this is his build. So definitely reach out to him if you're concerned or interested in why he made the decisions he made. I can only give my understanding of the list based on seeing it and maybe talking to him a little bit. But that's going to be a quick rundown of the deck. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the first and only match in this one and done series with Jeskai Saheeli. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, what is up guys? Welcome to the first match here. First match, I say this every time. It's a one and done series. It's one and only match in this series today. Welcome. Hope you'll enjoy it. Let's go ahead and take a look at our opener here. We got 2 lands and a Serum Visions and a Spreading Seas. To me, this is almost always a keep. Like seeing these 4 cards right here, it doesn't really matter with my other 3 cards here, but it's nice to know that we have, a combo piece and a redundant one in case it gets, loses to discard. But we can also blink the Spreading Seas with this Felidar Guardian, so no matter, even if we don't draw our combo piece, we'll have some way to gain value off of it. And then we also have Path to Exile, which is a premier 1 mana removal spell. So let's go ahead and keep. Our opponent mulligans to 6. Let's see if they keep their hand on 6. They go down to 5, so that's kind of rough. Go down to 4. Definitely not where you want to start a game of Magic, but we're not going to complain. Alright, basic planes. Could be Death and Taxes, which makes me want to, use this fetch land right away. If it is Death and Taxes, then we could get caught by a Leonin Arbiter. How did my opponent scry? They did scry to the top. So we definitely want double red at some point in the game. Yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and fetch for a Serum Vision, or fetch for a Steam Vents. I think the time we need to get double white is turn 5, while we need double red by turn 4, so I'll prioritize that. Snapcaster Mage seems like a pretty good draw. We probably don't want another land. Although Snapcaster Mage isn't great here. We don't really have that much to flash back, and we don't want to use this Path to Exile early. And based on basic planes, we might not need to cast all these spells, so... Although if it's humans on a really slow start, then Snapcaster Mage might be great. I'll actually keep Snapcaster Mage on top. I know it might be wrong, but worst case scenario, we can flashback Serum Visions on turn 3. Okay, Qasali Pridemage. That's gonna make Spreading Seas a bit worse here, but it will force my opponent to crack Qasali Pridemage if they want it. So looks like this is like green-white stuff. I think I'll shut my opponent off of their green mana for a turn if they want to. Alright, Lightning Bolt is a really great pickup alongside the Snapcaster Mage here. If they want to... Ooh, okay. They'll be able to pop the Spreading Seas if they want to. But I'm going to make it awkward for them to use that mana. They have Collected Company? Sylvan Advocate. Okay, so this is a really interesting sort of green-white aggro deck. So while it's inefficient here to use this Lightning Bolt, I actually don't want my opponent to like fizzle the Lightning Helix life gain trigger. Wow, they didn't even get rid of the... Interesting. In fact, now I can just Helix down. Yeah, I'm going to be off double white again. But now I just remove all of my opponent's creatures. And then I can... Alright, well, that's double white. And now we can move the Spreading Seas onto the Stirring Wildwood. And hope to draw Saheeli sometime soon. Our opponent's only on 2 cards, so how good can those 2 cards be? Well, another Qasali Pridemage. Sure, that's an okay Magic card. I kind of want to snap back a Serum Visions here, because we really don't have much going on in our hand, and I'd rather get something going. And I have a feeling this Felidar won't be able to target this the Spreading Seas because of Qasali Pridemage, so having a creature on board that we will be able to blink with Felidar, so like Felidar targeting Snapcaster Mage, rebuy something in the yard. We're already so flushed on removal. I'm going to go ahead and bottom that. Our opponent's only got 1 card in hand. Obviously a Collected Company could change the way this game plays out, but... So we bolt that in response. Alright, that's a Wilt-Leaf Liege that we will path to exile. More lands, not what we want to see exactly. I don't have any Serum Visions in the yard, so I think we'll just go ahead and target our Spreading Seas again. Another Felidar Guardian, okay. So now we start attacking. We can hold back Felidar to block the Stirring Wildwood. We have Felidar Guardian to blink Snapcaster Mage in case our opponent plays another threat. I could have fetched first to try to thin my deck from a basic land. Baneslayer Angel, that's a good one. I think it's a good one. And here we could attack with both of our Felidars, but I think I'll just hold them back. Because if our opponent does want to swing, then we can triple block. Yeah, I had a feeling they might have just top deck Path to Exile. That's rough. Because what card would they hold in hand other than a land? And that's, I guess, a removal spell. Alright, this is not great. So I think we just run out the other Felidar here. Target the Spreading Seas, because if we target Wall of Omens, it could die to another Path to Exile. Now, if my opponent uses Path to Exile on wall, that's a pretty good trade. But alright, that's Saheeli, so we'll try to combo off here. See if my opponent has another removal spell. Alright, they top deck double path. I think we're out of basics, yeah. Can't quite combo next turn, unfortunately. Alright, opponents, after that multi-4, opponent drew not the worst cards. I guess that's okay, considering they're pretty bad mulligan. Alright. Drew a land. Wall of Omens. I guess I'll scry first. If I hit another Saheeli, then it's game. I guess Serum Visions is a pretty good card to keep on top, so. And that's another Felidar, so that's game. Remand at this stage of the game, obviously not good. Yeah, and that should be lethal. This is the point in the game where I usually pause the video, but it looks like my opponent decided to concede up here, so that's good. We didn't actually see that much of my opponent's deck, which is frustrating because we don't really know what's going on over there. We know they're a creature deck. That's about all we know. Sylvan Advocate is definitely not like a card you see all the time. So this could just be like green-white aggro, like Wilt-Leaf Aggro. So I think we definitely want the Grim Lavamancer. I imagine they're playing Mana Dorks. And Engineering Explosives also seems good. And same for Is It Staticaster. Is It Staticaster is nice in the sense that it kills Mana Dorks, but it also puts their like Wilt-Leafs into bolt range. So you ping it and then you bolt it, and it's not really a 2-for-1 because you still get to keep the Staticaster, but it's still kind of nice. Yeah, against this deck, I don't know what's going on over there. Seeing multiple Qasali Pride Mages game 1 makes me want to cut some number of Spreading Seas, especially against a 2-color deck. It's still nice to have it as a cantrip. We can also cut some number of Remand here, because we don't want to fall behind on board to like a Mana Dork into some big dumb creature, and then they're just beating us down while we have Remand stuck in our hand. I like keeping the win conditions here. Baneslayer is kind of awkward because they're going to keep in Path to Exile for the combo. So obviously it eats up a removal spell to protect the combo, as we saw in that previous game, but I don't know how good that really is. So I think these are pretty easy cuts. Question is, do we want to side in like a Dispel? I don't think they're on Collected Company if they have Wilt-Leaf Liege, but that could have just been like a one of alongside like 4 Collected Company. Maybe we bring back a Spreading Seas because it's still not such a bad card. Temporary Reinforcements is good if they truly are very aggressive. It could buy us some time. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Might be wrong. Again, we didn't even see Knight of the Reliquary or Eternal Witness, so we can't even consider bringing in 1 Rest in Peace. But I think Snap is so good in this matchup that probably don't want to do that. All right, this hand seems good. We have Engineered Explosives. We have, whoa, this is like a standard mana base. Relic of Progenitus, sure. Alright, set up with a Colonnade turn 1, say go. We'll have Steam Vents on turn 2 for Helix if we want, or we can just play tap land to set up for turn 3 Saheeli, depending on what my opponent does here. Another Kasali Pride Mage, sure. How important is turn 3 Saheeli going to be? I don't think it's going to be that important, and I think I'd like to keep my life total high, so. Although I could have just played a land and set up for Timely Reinforcements on turn 3. That might have been better. Alright, my opponent has a Plains in hand. I believe they played that forest. No, yeah, that's the forest they played, right? Yeah, so. I guess I kind of want to Helix here. Nah, now I'm kind of like second guessing myself. How do we get blown out? Like a oh. Like a Blossoming Defense? The thing is with these decks, you never know what you're gonna face. Alright, opponent just says go. Interesting. So obviously mana is a bit awkward right now, but we still have Path to Exile if they play a creature here. Like a Wilt-Leaf Liege. Looks like what they might be. Ooh, Spectral Procession. Oh my god. This Staticaster is going to be, oh man, nuts. We also have this Engineered Explosives, so I think we definitely just hold up Staticaster this turn, hope to hit a land drop. No land drop. I think we just say okay though. We're not, our hand is pretty fine in the sense that we don't need a land drop. Now we could play Saheeli and tick up, but I don't think we need to. Alright, let's turn off Auto Yield Tier. Alright, this is where we respond because we don't want them to pump all their spirits up such that they're out of ping range. So we'll go ahead and play this Is It Staticaster. We'll get rid of the spirit set, but we don't take any damage this turn. Now we ping them. It'll kill all of them. My opponent can choose to path one of them. I think that'll fizzle the ability. But looks like my opponent is just fine doing this. And now I think we're in a really strong spot because we have Path to Exile to deal with this Wilt-Leaf Liege. We're about to get Saheeli on the board. And our opponent is not really pressuring us. Oh, no, right. We'll go ahead and get the Saheeli down. We'll tick up. Probably don't need another Serum Vision right now. We just don't have the mana to take advantage of a Serum Visions. Now, I don't know if I should be Path to Exiling main phase. Maybe I should be. But I don't think there's any way we really get punished so hard. We can Path to Exile, I guess, before blockers, and that way if they do have something weird like a Blossoming Defense, Declaration Stone, I guess we ping here, see if my opponent does anything, and they don't do anything, so I guess I let that resolve. I guess I'll Path to Exile now. Now my opponent's last card just needs to be Path to Exile if they want to stay in this game. Alright, it's not a Path to Exile, but... trying to think how to be most efficient here in case their last card is a Path to Exile. I can tick up Saheeli, that'll scry 1. Then I can play Felidar, target Saheeli, -2. And then I'll still have a mana left over if I want to Serum Visions. So we'll see if their last... Alright, well, so far my opponent has not interacted with the combo. Opponent, what are you doing, buddy? Alright, so my opponent targeted the creature at the wrong time. So they Path to Exiled my token in response to me targeting my Saheeli with the yeah, my opponent did this as wrong as they possibly could. So now, yeah, and they realize what they've done. I think even through a Path to Exile, we would have had a pretty good chance of winning the game, right? So we save the Serum Vision, so we cast it this turn. We draw that, we scry 2, we see a Spreading Seas, another Serum Vision, so we're going to be churning through a deck pretty quickly, and we have still more answers to aggression while still having a Saheeli on the board and a clue to crack. So I think we were definitely far ahead of my opponent, even if my opponent had played that correctly. But again, you saw the power of a combo control deck here in the sense that, look, you are forced to keep in cards like Path to Exile, which are pretty bad against control decks, and not only that, I have just backup win cons like Celestial Colonnade and, you know, ways to gain life and control the board like Timely Reinforcements, and all the while you have to keep in subpar cards against a, you know, mostly control deck. And obviously their Path to Exile would have been relevant in this game, and I think it's correct to obviously keep in Path to Exile against us, but it also means my opponent had a less aggressive draw because they had to make some concessions to my deck. So I think that's also one of the powers of a combo control deck. But yeah, that was our one and done match here with Jeskai Saheeli. It went by quick. The second match we kind of stole it. Our opponent, you know, did not know the correct timing for Saheeli, or maybe they just misread the board, or something happened where my opponent misplayed and it got us the win. And that'll happen in paper too. You know, opponents aren't super familiar with Jeskai Saheeli unless they played it in standard when it was the big thing. So sometimes you just get some free wins because your opponents don't know how to play against your deck, and I think that's also kind of sweet sometimes. You know, Modern doesn't just necessarily favor the best, you know, the best deck, but it favors the decks that will perform the best against the field. And what makes you perform better is not only just power level, but whether your opponent is aware of your deck in the current meta and if they're prepared to beat it. So I do like Jeskai Saheeli in that regard. Obviously, green-white aggro, not a super popular deck, but it's nice to know that against these fair mid-range creature decks, we have a pretty good time. And this matchup is actually quite similar to something like Abzan. Abzan gets a little bit worse for us because they have cards like Hand Disruption and they have Abrupt Decays, which are hard to beat sometimes for the combo, but you know, otherwise it's a very similar matchup. It's just a grindy affair. You remove their stuff, they, you know, interact with your combo, they disrupt your combo, they disrupt your control elements, and I think not having black in my opponent's deck definitely means they're at a disadvantage against us. But overall, I think the deck performed quite well. I enjoyed it. I can see why Janh has been liking this specific build of it. The sideboard seems nice. We had quite a few tools to bring in, but not so much such that we had to dilute our deck. Sometimes when you have so many cards to bring in, you just have no idea what to take out. So it feels like you know, the deck is already good in this matchup, but it has a few extra tools to help push it along the way. Like, is it Staticaster? Like Engineered Explosives? Like Timely Reinforcements? All these different tools that can help us, you know, win a game against an aggressive creature deck. Anyways, that was the match here against Green-White Aggro in this one-and-done series with Jeskai Saheeli. Hope you enjoyed it. By the time you guys see this, it's edited and uploaded. It might be too late, but I am probably planning to stream tonight. I don't know if I'll play Modern or if I'll play Legacy Cube, but please do check out my Twitch. There's a link probably in the description if I remember to do it. And there's also a text link somewhere on the screen here, so like twitch.tv/Lagziel. Just type that into your browser. Please hit that follow button, then you'll get notified when I go live, and then you can watch me stream live, and that would be pretty sweet. I would love to interact with any of you viewers live. I think that's one of my favorite things about Twitch, is that I get to actually interact with the people that view my content. I check YouTube, it's like, oh, I have 200 views on this video, oh, I have 800 views on this video, oh, I have 10,000 views on this other video, and it's just like, well, who are these people watching me, and how can I interact with them, and how can I make their experience better when they're watching my content? So come along, join the Twitch stream, follow me, get notifications, hang out for a bit, and that's all I gotta say there. So thank you so much for watching this video series, and also check out Jan's Twitch channel, which is JanisAB. So twitch.tv/JanisAB, JanisAB. Check him out. He makes tons of Jeskai Saheeli content, way more than I do at this point. Even though I used to do a lot on YouTube, he's definitely probably the leading guy on Jeskai Saheeli at this point. So go ahead, check out his content. It's a sweet deck. I love playing it. Sometimes against subpar green-white aggro decks, it does pretty well, but it also does pretty well against the modern meta as a whole. As I mentioned before, Janh has 12 undefeated trophies in the Magic Online competitive leagues with it, so that's insane. Maybe he even has more. I don't know what's going on with him. He's a crazy guy. Jams a lot of modern. He is a really good player, so check him out. Anyways, that's the end of it. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.